The Galactic Enforcers had received Earth's warning, multiple times, in fact. It had come through official channels, a calm, direct message urging them to reconsider their actions. But the Enforcers, known for their overwhelming military might, had ignored every single one. To them, Earth was a backwater planet, insignificant in the grand scale of galactic power. Warnings from humans were seen as nothing more than the desperate flailings of a weak species. The decision to attack Earth was made with ease. The Enforcers, leaders of a fearsome empire, had done this countless times before. Conquest was in their blood, their culture built on dominating weaker civilizations. In their minds, humanity was just another primitive race standing in the way of their expansion. And so, despite every attempt at diplomacy, they laughed at Earth's final plea and readied their fleet for invasion. After all, what could these barely evolved creatures possibly do? The Galactic Enforcers were not just any alien species. They were a collective of warrior clans, united under a banner of superiority and strength. For centuries, they had expanded their empire, subjugating planet after planet. Their technology was centuries ahead of most civilizations in the galaxy. They had mastered faster-than-light travel, created energy weapons that could tear through the hulls of ships, and had developed shields that could deflect any known projectile. Their soldiers were genetically enhanced, trained from birth to fight, and conditioned to see fear as weakness. To the Enforcers, humanity was nothing more than a curious anomaly. Sure, Earth had developed some space travel, but it was primitive compared to the vast capabilities of the Enforcer fleet. Humans had only just scratched the surface of interstellar exploration, whereas the Enforcers had long since mapped and controlled vast portions of the galaxy. To them, humanity's achievements were quaint, laughable even. When they first heard about Earth's defenses, they barely paid attention. What could humans offer that would stand against the might of their empire? The Enforcers prided themselves on their ruthless efficiency. They didn't negotiate with weaker species, they crushed them. From the moment they set their eyes on Earth, they saw it as a ripe target for conquest. It was an easy victory waiting to happen. Their generals, battle-hardened and prideful, viewed Earth as another notch in their belt. They could not comprehend that humans, a species they viewed as insignificant, could pose any threat to their war machine. Their arrogance was absolute. Earth's final warning arrived through the same channels as before. The message was simple, devoid of emotion, and yet carried a weight that the Enforcers chose to ignore. This is your final warning. Do not proceed, or face the consequences. It was delivered in a tone that suggested finality, but to the Enforcers, it sounded more like desperation. Their response was immediate laughter. The Enforcer commanders mocked the message openly in their war rooms, with some even joking that Earth had finally accepted its fate. They didn't believe for a second that humanity could mount any significant defense. In their eyes, this was the dying gasp of a species on the brink of extinction, and they were more than happy to expedite the process. Despite the finality of Earth's message, the Enforcers had no intention of backing down. Their fleet, one of the largest in the galaxy, had already been dispatched, moving swiftly toward Earth's solar system. The fleet was a sight to behold, massive warships bristling with weaponry, energy shields gleaming under the light of distant stars. These were not just ships, they were fortresses, each capable of laying waste to entire planets. As they approached Earth, the arrogance of the Enforcers was on full display. They broadcasted their arrival, making no effort to hide their intentions. Their communications were laced with overconfidence, and they scoffed at the idea that Earth could even slow them down. In their minds, the planet would be taken in hours, and its people would either submit or perish. The lead ship of the Enforcer fleet was a behemoth, nearly the size of a small moon, armed with weapons that could level entire cities in seconds. Its captain, a seasoned veteran of countless battles, was certain that this would be another routine victory. He stood on the bridge, surveying his fleet as it neared Earth's orbit. The planet came into view, and to the Enforcers, it seemed peaceful, unaware of the doom that approached. The fleet's weapons were primed, energy cannons humming with power, ready to unleash devastation upon Earth. Their shields, impenetrable by any known technology, were raised to full strength. The enforcers had come prepared for total war, and they expected Earth's defenses to crumble instantly. The planet's meager space fleet had already been detected, small, outdated ships that posed no real threat to their armada. The enforcers' arrogance reached its peak as the countdown to their first strike began. Their commanders, scattered across various ships in the fleet, were already preparing for the aftermath, discussions of how Earth's resources would be divided among the victors, how its people would be enslaved or exterminated. They had done this before. It was routine. But what the enforcers failed to realize was that Earth had one final card to play. A weapon hidden in the shadows, one they could not see coming. A weapon that would change everything in an instant. For years, Earth had quietly observed the growing threat posed by the galactic powers. Humanity had always been perceived as a low-tech species, a world that had barely ventured beyond its solar system. While the galaxy busied itself with grand conquests and technological advancements, Earth focused on something entirely different: survival. Beneath the surface of this seemingly backward planet, some of the brightest minds in human history were hard at work, preparing for the inevitable day when they would face an overwhelming alien force. That day had finally arrived. The Eclipse Protocol was Earth's greatest secret, a last-resort defense system designed to harness the very power of the sun itself. It had been conceived in the shadows, developed in secret by scientists and military strategists who understood that traditional defenses would never be enough against a fleet as vast and advanced as the Galactic Enforcers. The protocol was not just a weapon, it was a masterpiece of engineering and ingenuity, a fusion of human innovation and nature's raw power. At its core, the Eclipse Protocol relied on a network of highly sophisticated satellites that orbited the Sun, undetectable to even the most advanced alien sensors. These satellites were equipped with mirrors and energy collectors capable of focusing solar energy into a beam of unimaginable destructive force. It was a weapon no alien force had ever encountered, one that could turn the Sun into Earth's ultimate line of defense. For years, it remained hidden, concealed by Earth's unassuming appearance and lack of flashy space armadas. To the rest of the galaxy, Earth was just another primitive planet, unaware of the storm it was preparing to unleash. Earth's military and scientific communities had long anticipated a scenario like this. They knew that eventually, the galaxy's powers would come for them. The Galactic Enforcers were not the first species to underestimate humanity, but they would be the last to make that mistake. Behind closed doors, Earth's leaders had been strategizing for decades, planning for every possible threat. They understood their limitations but also their strengths: resilience, creativity, and the ability to turn disadvantages into unexpected advantages. Humanity's approach to warfare had always been unconventional. While the rest of the galaxy relied on brute force and overwhelming firepower, Earth focused on asymmetric strategies. The Eclipse Protocol was the ultimate embodiment of that mindset, a system designed not to confront the enemy head-on but to blindside them with a power they couldn't possibly anticipate. It was a testament to human ingenuity, the product of a species that had been underestimated time and time again, but always found a way to come out on top. As the Enforcer fleet drew closer, Earth's leaders calmly prepared for the activation of the Eclipse Protocol. The time for warnings had passed. The diplomatic channels were closed, and now it was time to act. The command was given, and the satellites, silently orbiting the Sun for years, began to shift into position. Each one aligned with precise accuracy, focusing the Sun's energy and channeling it toward a single point. It was an operation of immense complexity, executed with the precision of a masterstroke. Earth's military command remained composed, fully aware of the scale of the decision they had just made. This was not a conventional battle. It was the culmination of years of preparation, the ultimate checkmate in a war that had been planned long before the Enforcers ever considered Earth as a target. The power of the Sun itself was now under human control, and with it, they would erase the invading fleet in seconds. Meanwhile, the alien fleet remained oblivious to the doom that awaited them. Confident in their superiority, they continued their approach, completely unaware that they had already lost. The Eclipse Protocol was a weapon unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, and as the final alignments were made, the tension built. humanity's calm resolve stood in stark contrast to the arrogance of the invaders, and in those final moments before the strike, the galaxy's balance of power was about to shift forever. The final preparations were made. Earth's defenses were ready, and the Eclipse Protocol, now fully activated, prepared to unleash its fury. The alien fleet had no idea what was about to hit them. Without warning, the Eclipse Protocol unleashed its full power. A concentrated beam of solar energy, gathered from the sun's surface and focused through the satellite network, shot across the void of space with pinpoint accuracy. It struck the lead ship of the Galactic Enforcer's fleet, a behemoth of a vessel, the pride of their armada. In an instant, the ship ceased to exist. There was no explosion, no debris, just a blinding flash of light as the concentrated energy disintegrated the ship's matter on a molecular level. One moment, the massive warship was there. The next, it was gone, erased from existence as though it had never been. The enforcers had no time to react. The energy beam was faster than anything they could have anticipated, bypassing their shields and armor as if they didn't exist. The sheer power of the strike was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was as if the hand of a god had reached down and plucked the ship out of the cosmos. The alien commanders, so confident moments before, were now paralyzed with shock, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Their invincible fleet had been breached in a way they had never imagined possible. But the devastation didn't stop with the lead ship. The Eclipse Protocol had only just begun its work. In rapid succession, the energy beam cascaded from one ship to the next, each vessel meeting the same fate. One by one, the ships of the Galactic Enforcer's fleet disappeared, their destruction almost eerily silent in the vastness of space. There were no explosions, no wreckage. The energy was so concentrated, so precise, that the ships were simply wiped out, their matter vaporized in the blink of an eye. It was a chain reaction of annihilation, with the Eclipse Protocol working its way through the fleet methodically, like a predator picking off prey. From the smallest frigates to the towering capital ships, none were spared. The enforcers had prepared for every possible scenario, but nothing could have readied them for this. Their shields, once thought impenetrable, were meaningless. Their advanced weapons systems, primed to rain destruction on Earth, never had a chance to fire. The entire fleet, with all its firepower and technological might, was reduced to nothing more than memories in the span of seconds. The beam of solar energy continued its relentless sweep, cutting through the darkness of space like a scythe through a field, leaving nothing but silence in its wake. Within the remaining ships, panic spread like wildfire. The surviving alien commanders, watching helplessly as their fleet was wiped out before their eyes, began to grasp the gravity of their mistake. What had seemed like an easy conquest had turned into an unimaginable nightmare. The calm confidence they had held so tightly was shattered, replaced by disbelief and terror. There was no time to mount a defense, no way to coordinate a retreat. The ships that tried to flee met the same fate as those that stood their ground, vaporized without a trace. The Eclipse Protocol gave no quarter, no time to react. The chain of command within the Enforcer fleet broke down almost immediately. Communications were flooded with desperate voices, commanders barking orders that no one could follow, others screaming for help that would never come. They had underestimated Earth, a mistake they would not live long enough to regret. What had started as a display of overwhelming force had become a massacre, but this time, it was the enforcers who were being hunted. Their fleet, the pride of their empire, was gone, and with it, their hope of victory. On Earth, the response was markedly different. There was no panic, no chaos, only calm control. Humanity watched as the Eclipse Protocol did exactly what it had been designed to do. The system had been activated with precision, and now the destruction unfolded according to plan. For the human commanders overseeing the operation, there was no need for celebration or boastfulness. They knew the gravity of what had just occurred, but they also knew it had been necessary. Earth had warned the enforcers, and now the message had been delivered in a way that no one in the galaxy would ever forget. As the final ships in the alien fleet were erased from existence, Earth remained steady, fully in control of its destiny. The invaders had come to destroy, but in their arrogance, They had been undone by a power they never saw coming. The destruction was swift and absolute. In the aftermath of the battle, an unsettling calm settled over the region of space where the Enforcer's fleet once loomed. The silence was deafening, as if the universe itself paused to reflect on the enormity of what had just occurred. The vast armada that had threatened Earth was gone, erased without a trace, leaving only empty space where warships once floated. Earth's defense system powered down, its purpose fulfilled. Across the galaxy, a stunned silence spread through the political landscape. No one had expected this outcome, least of all the Galactic Enforcers themselves. The silence was not just physical, it was emotional, reverberating across the stars. The galaxy had grown used to the Enforcers' dominance. They were a force that no one dared challenge, a symbol of unmatched military power. But in an instant, that symbol had been shattered. The invincible fleet that had once terrorized entire star systems now existed only in memory. The absence of debris, the lack of wreckage, it all felt surreal, as if the battle had never happened. But the absence of their fleet was the clearest sign that something far more dangerous than anyone had anticipated lay beneath Earth's surface. Across the galaxy, news of the fleet's destruction spread like wildfire. On distant outposts, where remnants of the Enforcer Empire watched for any word of their comrades' triumph, the reality hit hard. At first, disbelief gripped the survivors. How could their fleet have been destroyed so easily? How could a planet like Earth, one they had considered so technologically inferior, deliver such a crippling blow? The arrogance that had fueled their conquest was now a bitter pill to swallow. They had dismissed the warnings, laughed at humanity's final message, and now they were paying the price. The Enforcer's mistake had cost them dearly, and the survivors, those lucky enough not to have been part of the assault, now had to grapple with the reality that Earth was not the prey they had imagined. The leadership of the Enforcers, scattered across their empire, began to understand that their power was no longer uncontested. The destruction of their fleet was a sobering reminder that even the most powerful empires were not invulnerable. Regret flooded through their ranks, a regret born not just from their military loss, but from their failure to heed the warnings. Humanity had proven, in one devastating strike, that they were not to be trifled with. The cost of the Enforcer's arrogance was now clear: an entire fleet, the pride of their empire, obliterated in seconds. As word of the battle spread, the political landscape of the galaxy shifted. Alien empires that had once viewed Earth as an inconsequential player now scrambled to reassess their strategies. Fear spread like a contagion. If Earth had the capability to destroy a fleet as powerful as the Enforcers, what other hidden weapons might they possess? Empires that had previously considered Earth ripe for exploitation now reconsidered their positions. Diplomatic channels buzzed with activity, as alliances were reconsidered and old enemies became cautious. Earth's hidden power had thrown the galactic order into disarray. Some civilizations, long content to expand their influence unchallenged, began to question whether they should proceed with their plans. Could Earth be provoked? Could the same fate that befell the Enforcers await anyone who crossed the humans? These questions circulated through the highest halls of power in the galaxy. Meanwhile, smaller empires and independent systems, those who had long been oppressed by the Enforcers or other galactic powers, saw a glimmer of hope. If Earth could stand up to the most feared military force in the galaxy, perhaps others could as well. The destruction of the Enforcers' fleet rippled outward, shaking the galaxy's political foundation to its core. Diplomats who had once dismissed Earth now rushed to establish communication, seeking peaceful relations before any potential misunderstandings could arise. Offers of trade, technology exchange, and alliances flowed toward Earth as the galaxy's powers scrambled to avoid becoming the next target of humanity's wrath. Earth's rise to prominence had been sudden and unexpected, but now it seemed inevitable. The once overlooked planet had proven itself a force to be reckoned with. Amidst the panic and diplomatic maneuvering, Earth remained calm. The humans had never sought galactic conquest, nor had they desired to assert dominance. They had simply defended themselves. In the wake of the battle, Earth's leaders issued a statement to the galactic community, a message as calm and direct as their original warning. "We will not be the aggressors. We will not seek war. But we will defend ourselves with the full force of our capabilities if necessary. It was a statement of peace, but also a reminder that Earth's patience had limits. The galaxy, now fully aware of Earth's hidden strength, took the message to heart. In the aftermath of Earth's decisive victory, the galaxy could no longer dismiss humanity as a backwater species. What was once seen as a planet of limited significance was now viewed with a mixture of respect and fear. Earth's ability to destroy an entire fleet in seconds had stunned even the most powerful empires. Conversations that once excluded humanity now centered around them, with the leaders of alien civilizations grappling with this new reality. No longer considered a primitive race, humans were now acknowledged as a strategic and military power, one with hidden depths and untapped potential. Civilizations that once underestimated Earth now regarded it with caution, careful not to provoke a species that had proven capable of defending itself with overwhelming force. The shift in the galactic order was undeniable. Earth's victory had not only earned them respect but had also cemented their position as a player on the galactic stage. However, unlike many rising powers, humanity did not seek conquest or expansion. They used this moment to establish themselves as defenders, not aggressors. Earth's leaders worked quickly to solidify their diplomatic position, reaching out to the galactic community to make their intentions clear. They were not interested in dominating the galaxy, but they would protect their territory and their people with everything they had. This stance resonated with many species, especially those who had long lived under the shadow of more aggressive empires. Earth became a beacon of stability, a planet that others could turn to for support in times of need. Their message was clear: peace was the goal, but anyone who threatened that peace would face the full force of humanity's capabilities. In diplomatic negotiations, Earth's representatives were firm but fair, offering trade and cooperation, yet always maintaining the understanding that their military strength was not to be tested lightly. It was a delicate balance, one that Earth handled with strategic brilliance. As Earth's influence grew, the once dominant galactic enforcers began their decline. Their defeat at the hands of humanity had shattered their reputation, and with it, their grip on the galaxy weakened. The enforcers had been a symbol of fear and control for centuries, but the destruction of their fleets sent a ripple effect through their empire. Species that had long been subjugated by the enforcers began to see opportunities for rebellion and independence. The enforcers, once untouchable, now found themselves struggling to maintain order within their own borders. With their military reputation in ruins, the enforcers' empire began to fracture. Former allies turned away, sensing weakness, and internal conflicts erupted as various factions vied for power. The once feared enforcers were now on the defensive, scrambling to hold on to what remained of their territory. The very arrogance that had led them to dismiss Earth had now become their undoing. What was once an empire of conquest and dominance was now a shadow of its former self, slowly crumbling under the weight of its own hubris. As the galaxy shifted and the old power structures began to unravel, Earth stood ready for whatever came next. Humanity's emergence as a power had changed the dynamics of the universe in ways that no one could have predicted. But while they had proven themselves capable of immense destruction, they remained cautious, always aware of the delicate balance between peace and war. Earth's leaders understood that with great power came great responsibility, and they were prepared to face the challenges that lay ahead with the same resolve that had carried them through the battle. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity, once overlooked and underestimated, had now become a force to be reckoned with. But they would move forward carefully, always prepared for the next challenge, yet always striving for peace in a universe that had finally learned to respect them.